Hello everyone and welcome back to another Television 2 video today with an interesting matchup between Roye and Blitz here on Haroshaje. So we have Vyborg versus Tettau as they both decided to play low tier divisions. That being said, one of them is very clearly worse than the other. And we're going to see which one it is in just a bit. Now, I'm very actually excited for this one because, first of all, Roye is not a content creator, so it's great to give him a little bit of a platform as well. Go check him out. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what language you speak, he is making his content in French. So if you can speak French, I think it's great for you. Otherwise, not so much. But yeah, just go check him out, show him some love. On the other side, we do have Blitz, which used to play a while ago in tournaments as well, and I distinctively remember him because for the longest time when I was thinking I was actually getting good now, he was the one that I was most afraid of. So it's great to see him back actually. He's a decent player, so great that he decided to play tournaments again. And I think with that we just hop into the decks right now. And we are starting off with Tettau. I think we all know this, right? No real tanks until C phase. I mean, you get some captured French tanks, and they are real tanks, but they're not good tanks, at least not in the sense of what you really need in this division to manage until C phase. Now he plays in Maverick, and this might look odd, but this is actually a very valid thing. So if you really want to go full on in with the infantry and the spam, this can work just fine. You don't need to build this balanced, actually. So we actually have seen it quite a few times. I think Luna actually showed us how to do it in League. Recon tab, we do get a sharpshooter, which is nice, 10-point, 4-man. I think it's a 1-man unit, but 4 units, double that. So it uses as regular recon. Then there's this Landstorm Aufklär, which is basically uses a CQC in B phase, or at least as a part of a CQC, because it throws a Molotov. It doesn't have a great loadout for CQC, but you have a Molotov. And if you combine that with some other units that can do a little bit more damage, then somehow this can work. It is a pain, but it can work. Infantry tab, he goes in with 126 infantry for Maverick. But if you look at it, a lot of it is disheartened crap for 10 points only. But it is actually incredibly powerful. This is so spammy, it's so hard and so annoying to play against this. Also, what I really love to see, so I think this infantry tab is very close to how I build when I play Maverick, and I love to see it that way. He brings a lot of leaders. Like, if you look at it, you have 3 leader cards, 2 in A phase, 1 in B phase, and it is a total of 14 leaders, which is insane. So I do get in the intercept the SS Wache, which is actually MG34 for 10 points, can't really complain about that. Then the SS Wache Führer, which is this hunt leader, but you get 5 of them, and it's 15 points only. No vet, I think it's the only leader that has no vet. SS Junker, nice MP44 unit. SS Pioneer, it's an SS Pioneer. SS Ausbilder, which can actually help you at CQC because it has a flamer. Then you have the SS Junker Panzerfaust, which is basically just a Fallschirmjäger FG42. SS Wache Brenn, same thing as the SS Wache, but with a Brenn Sicherungs, which I think you all know. Then you get the Festungsgrenadierführer, which has a bazooka, so you have additional bazookas, which I think for an infantry heavy division is very, very important to have. So that's definitely going to help a lot. And then C phase brings up Big Light Truppen, which I guess he kind of uses them as a hybrid unit, which you can, but it's definitely more of a CQC unit than a hybrid unit. But you know, it is kind of hybridy, and I think it's also how I do it for my builds. It's just the best way to do it, really. If you don't have slots for dedicated line infantry and still want to have CQC capabilities. Tank tab, we do get the B2 leader. Then Stück 3 and 2 cards of King Tigers, which is very odd, you don't need them. I think even one with the Maverick income is a bit of a stretch, but I can see why you might want to do that if your opponent, you know that your opponent can't really deal with them. I can kind of get the logic behind that, but 2 is very excessive for Maverick, even for balance, 2 is excessive. And you know, so you could bring more in the AA tab or something like that. Instead, support tab as SMG, which is really nice. IG. Then a commander, of course, which you need to take if you have so many leaders. And with the 15-point leader, you can actually make a nice network so that you have leaderships, the commander buff all over the map. Feldjäger, pretty nice too. Flammpanzer B2. Interesting to see that in B phase, a lot of people taking A phase to have a bit more armor to play with. And then another MG disheartened, the French one, maybe a Hotchkiss, I don't know. And ammo. Etita Panzerschreck, 15 points only. You get a 5-man. It's a starter, but so what? It's totally fine. Panzerjäger 35R, this thing is super efficient, has a high rate of fire, 9 minutes of pen. This is actually going to be dangerous for T-34s and such as well. Then the 45mm, of course, we all know it. Fantastic ATPs as well, and then Pak 40s and Pak 43s. It's very light. He only brings the SKF-1 and the Russian refitted 88, which is interesting. No Flak 36. Weirdly enough, artillery tab 60 mils, which of course are great for winning infantry fights. Then at the Panzerwerfer, which honestly doesn't need red, it doesn't help you at all. It's basically a 150 Nebelwerfer, but with more rockets and slower firing speed instead. And then, of course, the Nebelwerfer 300 mil, which is fantastic. And the HE219 is actually pretty fast and has a good loadout. So this is a great... Can be a good strafer, but it's a little bit too fast for that. The turning radius is really bad, though. But it's not a bad plane for 90 points than another fighter with the BF-19 and some fighter bombers. And on the other side, you have Grupa Vyborg, a division that we see even less often than Tettau. And that's going to mean something. This thing, I'm surprised that he picked it. I mean, a trash division, yes, but this one is really tricky. You know, Tettau is, I mean, in my opinion, a little bit less trashy than this. But also, this division looks very rough for me on a town map, just because of the number of infantry, really. As we actually see, the tank type is actually not too bad for this, with the Churchills and KV-1s and whatnot. The IS-2, of course, completely useless on the town, and this map, but in particular, there is some angles where you can use it. I guess with the matchup especially, but otherwise not super good. But infantry, we're going to get to that. Recon time, we do get a VA-10, some motorized Svedka, and some Svedka motorized Svedka coming in a 50 cal transport, of course, which is going to be super annoying. Infantry tab, the Chernos, because you got to have something to spam around. After Strelki DP, and this is the... Well, I mean, no, he has a Chernos, so it's not the only range infantry card, but he brings them without any veterancy. Shurmoviki in B-phase, together with the Shurmoviki rocks, and then some Strelki in B-phase as well, unvetted. So that brings to 73 infantry, which is actually quite impressive considering the infantry tab of this division, but it comes at the cost of having a lot of disheartened and not a lot of veterancy. So overall, not very good. Tank tab. T26, Churchill, KV-1S, these are all good tools, of course. Especially noteworthy here is that, of course, the KV-1S might actually withstand those little tank hunters that Tettau gets in A-phase. And a little bit better, the Churchill can at least fight back nicely with a fast fire rate, and T26, yeah, just annoying. And then IS-2, I mean, yeah, Tettau doesn't really have response to that in A-phase at all, usually. So there's that. Support tab, he brings the NKVD. Now, I don't remember. You will see it popping up if it is important. I think with the 10.1, it's just a regular one, so nothing special there, because there is another version of this in the Soviet tab of the military police that can actually fight itself. If it is this one, you will see a card popping up very soon. Flamer, Maxim, ammo, that's about it. AT tab, very light, which is very reasonable considering the matchup. Just some fast sneaky for some rush, 45mm and CIS 2. I think there is a Su-76 AT piece here, and I mean, that would not be the worst idea either to take, because this one is actually pretty decent for infantry support too, as far as relatively fast, but he decided not to take that one. A-tab. 2 cards of 37mm single vet though, not a fan of that. Artillery tab, 82mm off map, of course, very useful for the town. I mean, you can just off map the town once and then push in. Artillery in B phase as well as on Russia. Air tab, IL-2KR, fantastic recon plane. IL-2 napalm plane. Actually, not sure how good that one is, so I'm actually very curious to see. LS-7, decent fighter, and then a PE-2, of course, a good bomber. And here we are again with the deployments. Down south, we do have more defensive deployment with lots of Maxims and maybe a little bit over the top. Some T-26s and some light AT. On the other side, also defensive deployment with light armor, I want to say, and with also some light armor, also some light AT, but some Ursa Spanier and an SS Junker. In the town, and also a little bit down south, we do have more of a defensive deployment as well, with some regular infantry leaders, of course, a lot of recon, Panzerjäger, and some Spaniers, of course, and some early ATBs with the Panzerschreck. This, holy moly, is responded by Roye with a push exactly into that position. You can, of course, easily rush into that. Start with some flamers, fast, sneaky for transport sniping, of course, and then a ton of armor with T-26s, BA-10s, Churchills, just everything there is about. Also, in the other part of the town, well, actually, let's start with this part here. Also, in the other part of the town, a more, again, a little bit of an aggressive deployment, fast, sneaky, and then otherwise a little bit more defensive. This is where Blitz also goes defensive, which is unusual since I know Blitz as a relatively aggressive player. Some SS Junker, which of course are great for the town. Some more Panzerschrecks and 60mm mortar for support. And in the Werner Wolfke's course, he pushes over there with some SS Pioneer. He brings the SS Wache Führer, which surprising me. I think this is not the good one. The one that also has a flamer, because that one is the one you want to have in here. Some SS Junker, which of course can nicely secure the edge of the forest off there with their MP44s. And Roye responds to that with some flamers as well. Some military police, Chernos, Motorzvedka, and the 45mm. I think we're just going to hop right in. So Haroshaje is a really cool map, and in my opinion, one of the more balanced ones. There is, possibilities to win for both of them. Not actually sure which side is really favored. I personally prefer blue side, but I'm not so sure whether it is actually also better. It's just that blue side has the advantage of this right here at the start, which is uncontestable for red right at the start, which means that blue can technically get in and secure the edge off before red can contest it, which brings red in the position where you can either just leave it go, and blue will almost always send something there, just don't know how much. And that means that blue side can sometimes get away with holding this for basically free for a while, or red has to take a lot of the forces out of the town, put them up north just to make sure that you can re-grab this, because they will have to attack actually, just because they're slow there. And I think that is a little bit of an advantage for blue side. Red side, on the other hand, has the advantage of a push on this flank here, netting 2 to 3 flags. So, there's advantages in that. IL-2 coming in. This is going to be a very juicy environment here for some napalm bombing. I guess it's carpet, yeah. And SS Wache Führer, this here as well, so it is a trashy one. Actually quite surprised. Flamers are moving in. Something hit some unit here. Maybe they went this way. Yeah, they went this way and get sniped. You always deploy down here because then they drive this way. And on south, yeah, nothing happening. So nice push here in the center. It looks like the Panzerfaust here died already as well. SS Wache going down. Pack 40 doing some work here is definitely a problem, but a combined blob of these will do the work. Now, I actually still haven't checked it. No, it's just a regular military police unit. That's what I was going to say. I'm recording this right after having done the decks, so I've not actually looked at the cards that I was not sure about yet. So, I mean, this push can go well here, but the 45mm and the Panzerjäger 35 are definitely going to be a problem. Now, does have something just died? Oh, a T-26? No. I heard a sound of a unit dying, and it sounded like coming from below. But maybe not then, because I can't make... no. The Panzerjäger pushed forward and got wrecked by the 45mm. As a row of Chernos just coming in. Roy's going for his... Now, he needs to be resourceful with these. He doesn't have... He has lots of them, but they're cheap, and he's spamming them around like crazy. And A phase, still going to last 7 minutes. So he has to be a little bit careful. SSP are pushing in, but they are not the best tool at long range. The SS Junker, on the other hand, this one is pretty good. I think Roye has overwhelming firepower, especially if he positions his tanks here at the flanks where they cannot be hit by the 45mm. On the other side, you have some more SS Wache and SS Junker coming in. I mean, SS Wache are really good. Like, it's 6-man MG34 for 10 points. Disheartened. I mean, yes, as an individual unit, really bad, but you can send 3 of those against like 1 Panzergren. That's actually pretty good. I mean, they will do the work, because yes, they will take a lot of suppression, but 3 units firing and splitting the fire of your opponent on them, that's really decent in my opinion. It's super annoying. Like, one issue that this division can bring is, and I've seen that. I've played Blitz against Bori once, and he told me afterwards. You can actually make it so that your opponent is really running low on ammo in his units, because there's so much spam, and it can at some point be really hard to deal with. I mean, it's definitely... And this is what I meant at the start with one of these divisions is clearly better than the other. This is Tettau. Tettau, I would say, is in a general sense stronger, but out of the two in a direct matchup, I think it's pretty good. Reason being that Vyborg, you know, yeah, it has a lot of armor, but it has the kind of armor that Tettau can deal with. You know, these armor, the Panzerjäger can deal with them. You have the AT to deal with them. You have Panzerfaust. On a map like this armor is manageable. One of the big problem is fast light armor that can get lost in your backlines and things like that. This is what Tettau just cannot handle. It don't have enough mobile AT for that. But you know, if it's very like centered around. That being said, though, the counter spam might work well and kind of force AT units off, which then allows the armor to do work again. So maybe I'm actually mistaken. And Tettau is not so clearly better, but I just think that in a division on a map with a division matchup on a map where Tettau can stop the armor at least to some extent and just start spamming around, especially if your opponent actually focuses on infantry as well, this division is really strong. So as soon as you start focusing like infantry, if both players start focusing on infantry, for example, Tettau is incredibly good because you can just spam your way through. Not saying incredibly as really, really good, but these kind of divisions is what Tettau can actually work decently well against. Oh, 45 mil. I have to be a 10. Now, admittedly so, I think the Russians are one of the maybe better matchups for this. Then again, some of these units with MG34s and MG42s are pretty good actually. But Soviets are, generally speaking, more cost efficient, so the spam of Tettau is not as much of an issue. If you have expensive units, this is when Tettau can be really dangerous for you, because Tettau can just really outspam you super easily, as some very expensive units just can't cope with the spam. Whereas, you know, you can, with the Soviets, you're somewhat of a spammer yourself, even if it's not like a real spam, but you know what I mean. You have a lot of cheap tools that you can bring out, especially if you bring the journals. So that equals things out, kinda. You see SK sets in one down south and into center, so Blitz is expecting some airplays after the first IL-2. You haven't seen much after that, though. The IL-2 could definitely be useful up north, by the way, where Roye actually lost his flamers and Blitz is securing. It's bringing out AFTOs, but again, these are not great against the air Spanier. But yeah, as I said, I think the IL-2... Oh, there we go. I'm a prophet. I can see the future. There is the IL-2 coming in. Oh, HE219 now coming in. Now, this thing is going to hurt. 620 mils. Down he goes. You know, what's it? Very high resilience, or at least high resilience? No, it's not high. It's good. And very good. I think it's very good resilience plane. And it wasn't even maybe counted as behind, but it wasn't like directly on the back, so I don't know. But yeah, this thing is an absolute beast. Only problem is this. This is good to catch planes actually, and is reasonably cheap back. I mean, for the loadout and the resilience, this is a steal. However, it is super fast, which has the downside of it sometimes just zipping past targets that you wanted to shoot at when you want to do strafing, and it doesn't actually do that much damage. Off-map here was well placed though, just I guess did not do the damage that he hoped it would. B10s might be able to clean up with the Panzerjäger 35R though. The other off-map also really nicely placed. Everything pushed back. Now we can see the strafing power. Oh no, these are already, you know, going back anyway. 37 mil is on the HE219, but I think the HE219 is going to go out easily. It's only single about 37 mil, so they're not that good. Off map still ongoing. Will Roye push in time? It's 13-11 for Blitz, by the way, just thanks to this flag. So this is why I tend to say that blue has an advantage, although it's not massive. Again, red has the option to decide to go for a big push here right at the start, which can pay off quite massively. Pushing from here further is much harder and often not, doesn't actually bring you that much at the end of the day. It's a huge commitment for usually not getting out of those flags. Focke-Wulf now coming in for bombing run as well. The 37 mil needs to be a little bit close, and it needs some more veterancy clearly, which I guess is hard to get in this division. Next off map being on the next reasonable place where you would expect some more defenses to be. Now, unfortunately for Roye, there's not actually much there as he pushed him out. But his plan is to just clear the town completely. So he made a good call with just this, assuming that this is the next best place to push. This is where Blitz might want to have his last defense. So he just nukes that basically. You could also, by the way, just kind of off-map this if you wanted to, and make sure that no reinforcements get in, because you can kind of guess, if you push him out of here in these two places, and if you have a feeling for your trades, you might have an understanding of how your chances are here. We do see a counter push down south now, so Blitz has noticed that there can't be that much strength here down south. He's also, I guess, by the looks of it, reinforces just a bit, so now he is ready to strike back down south. Well, it is only going to net him one flag, but if Roye takes 3 flags in the towns, that prevents the 15-9. As guess that one is here, but can't stop the L2 in time. The L2 gets, I guess, not the full load off, though. Should get out, though. It's still an L2 after all. Shumoviki coming in. Tettau looking really good. So Blitz is in a rough spot, and Roye can really take advantage of this right now. His plan now must be to push Blitz entirely out of this. And he can secure this off with an IL-2, which he's doing, although he's not putting him in the best position. But, like an IL-2, like somewhere in this area here, right here, if Roye can also put something here, just a spot that no 88s are going to be placed up here, can potentially, prevent Blitz from really getting an angle back at the town. Now, Roye will still need to find a solution for the situation up north and down south eventually, but he, it should give him a lot of power. Actually, if he can grab these 2 flags, that should give him the 15-9 that he needs. Well, no, because he also has to equal out for that one. Never mind. Reinforcements now coming in. Yeah, but this is where Blitz has reinforced. This is where recon planes are super useful, because that could tell. But of course, Blitz has Roye has no way of knowing what's there. Now, Roye is, as I said, I think Roye's in a really good spot right now. He just needs to make sure that he can take advantage of it. Blitz, on the other hand, still has some triumphs there, with him actually getting a good push in down south and putting a lot of pressure on Roye there. Now, Roye overall in the map is much, much stronger, but there's only so far he can push with what he has in the town. I think Roye at the moment is overinvesting a bit in the town. I think there's a little bit too much there. Now, all of these units are going to help him tremendously when he has to go defensive eventually. So I think Blitz is going to struggle retaking the town. But he can start Nebel spamming this, and then there's that. But technically speaking, the units are useful when it comes to the defense then in B phase, which we are reaching. But I think at the moment it's a bit of an overinvestment, because a lot of these, as soon as you reach this open right here, they fall off quite a bit in power. This is where the IS-2 can come in handy, but they can't really do much here. Especially the Churchills are useful for the town, but after that they're just too slow. So this also means that Roye at the moment, with all the UCS here, doesn't really have the mobility to just swing down south or up north, where it can really push. But I think he should definitely go for this flag. We do see some slow pushes up here, but this needs to be the next goal. And once he has this, you can kind of find an angle to get back into that eventually. Another Focke-Wulf coming. Yeah, the A needs to get even closer. Another one down south. Going after the L2KR, potentially. to get set down on. No, has not moved yet. It's moved a little bit. Roye on the 1311, but he needs more than that. Unless he can grind Blitz down here in the center, this, of course, would mean that Roye can now, you know, can survive on a 1311 because Blitz might not get all that much more in B phase either. Festung Grenadier is a problem here because there's a lot of tanks. I think Roye needs to be careful. I'm not sure if a tank died here. Looks like it. Yeah, Churchill died here. So I was going to say, he needs to be careful. He needs to set more infantry in front of his tanks. Especially now that Pack 40 is coming, which of course he doesn't know, but... yeah, the Churchills are not going to spot them, and they're probably going to get wiped. Festung Grenadier pushes forward, which he does. He could kill 3 tanks here, potentially. And realistically, that's not going to happen. Wow, look at how much suppression it had, and it still managed to get shut off and kill the KV-1. I think it was a KV-1. It was a KV-1. That is pretty lucky there for Blitz, we have to admit. P2 now coming in, as the AA has actually been killed off. I did miss that, but... I mean, that means that these units, whoo, they are up for grabs. Oh, unfortunately, not that much damage. A lot of pinning, though. Still 13-11. But Pack 40 is now getting involved here. Killed 1 Churchill already. It's going after the next one. Gun jammed on. Oh, that's rough. 14-10 for Roye. What did he re-grab? Got some... oh, he got that flag here now with a nice little push with the Stromoviki rocks and some other units. Another P2 coming in for the Pack 40. Then evac. That's potentially a problem. It's quite far away from the 37mm, and HE219 could... I think it could easily catch this. He's not going for it, though. He's decided to leave it for another day. 88 now in a nice position here. It is on efficient shot. But yeah, at this distance, the IL-2 is not going to be an issue. And it's going after him. And again, Roye making a crucial mistake here of not having much infantry and no recon in front of his tanks. And this, you know, is already bad with a normal tank, but with an expensive tank like the IS-2, which just went down. This is exceptionally bad. This is really bad. When you bring in a super heavy tank like an IS-2 or a King Tiger, you need to have recon there. Well, now we can see how good this is. Pin the Churchill in one go. It's not going to kill it. It's not going to kill a tank in a run, but it is going to pin. As you just saw. But yeah, when you bring a super heavy tank, that tank needs to have recon. If you don't have any regular recon, infantry units will do, but they need to be a little bit in front of the tank. And whenever you can, you need to have proper recon. Next thing you need to do, which we also haven't seen here, is AA. The AA needs to be close to the tank. This one was too far back. So even if this wasn't here, Blitz might have been able to just bomb it a few times to Focke-Wulf. Now, it takes a while till this thing dies then, but it's doable. Nebelwerfer now coming in. And that's going to hurt. Now, with a lot of tank losses to Pantherfires in the Pack 40, all of a sudden, Roye's defense in the town are not looking super good. He still has a lot of infantry, but we have to remember that a lot of these are disheartened. Now, Blitz's infantry is not really better. But, you know, it can push. Whereas armor can be a problem for pushing. This is a problem that divisions like Tettau have. If you are playing against a division with a lot of armor, pushing is incredibly dangerous for you and difficult, because armor can be used defensively super well against this kind of division. If you've seen my recent playing a division video with me playing Tastalek, for example, you saw this as well. It is not super easy to push with an infantry heavy division if there is lots of tanks stopping you. And Tettau really struggles with this. So I think Roye should definitely start investing into some more armor and, you know, position it strategically where it prevents Blitz from really making any ground. But Roye fails to really secure the north, and this is going to be punishing him now as just tons of SS-Wache Brenn come. And these, by the way, if you combine them with the few remaining SS-Penny, it can at least do a little bit damage up close at CQC, and it can just kind of overwhelm CQC units with it. Panzerschreck was snuck through here and is now going for the backlines. This is going to hurt. 82mm mortar are now moving. That means at least that Roye has probably spotted them. Spotted it, and might have a chance to react to it before the catastrophe eventually will happen. T-26s could get a kill here on the SKZ, although the 45mm is there to prevent that. Roye is sensing a weakness here, as the units are on the run and is pushing, but it's going to run directly into 45mm. Actually, really nice positioning here by Blitz. I'm not really sure if this was, if he was aware of that, or if this just happens to happen, but very nice there. Yo-ho! Okay, loss of both these is worth it. He killed the SKF Z71, so the skies here are clear again. Although his air force is not that big yet. Now, what we also see here is 2 37 bills now, and really what he needed to do was bring one closer and vet it up with, you know, one of his leader tanks or the artillery leader. This sucks, of course, they don't have infantry leaders, but this is what I think would have been enough. There was no real need for 2 of them. Now, Ulfa still hasn't been used. Now the Flampanzer B2 are coming in. These are, I think, very often you see them in A phase. I think you can bring them in A phase already, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, look at that. Now we have a row of some actually, okay, 1 good unit, then some disheartened spam. And the Sicherungs, which are, meh. The Sicherungs are great for their AT rifle. Not so fantastic otherwise. Still not bad, you know. IL-2 actually gets the clusters off. The 88 is not that good at stopping it. It needed 3 shots. Maybe that's just a thing of the Russian, like, or the refitted Russian gun. I'm not 100% sure. But HE219 is going to get on the back of that and probably kill as well. I don't think the 2 37mm. No. 2 of them will do the trick. Probably not kill it, but they will stop it. P2 coming in as well. This thing is also pretty fast for a relatively heavy bomber. It's set fighter bomb, but you know, it has a heavy payload, so yeah, I think that's gonna get it off as well. What's it going after? Why is it turning? Oh, what? It failed to drop the. It missed and went past. Maybe change the target in the last minute, because that's an issue with these kind of things. You know, sometimes it's just a little bit late. Still fighting out for Roye though. But the situation has changed quite a bit. You know, as we said, Roye's defense in the town is not as strong anymore. A lot of his tanks have died, and that's really the big issue for Blitz. Like, even the Flampanzer, they will struggle against the Churchill. They will struggle against the T-34. And if struggle, I mean, they're realistically not going to kill it. I mean, these are the weaker T-34s, actually, so they might kill those. But Churchill's definitely not. The K1's definitely not. So, yeah, I think those tanks could have been really crucial there to defense. And now this can actually help push. Because now all of a sudden Roye's infantry is getting pushed back by tanks. And that's massive. Unfortunately for Roye, he also didn't really manage to secure ground down south. There's just too much infantry. Now he re-grabbed the forest part, and for the time being it doesn't look like Blitz is going to get back in there anytime soon. Up north the same issue though. Strumoviki, but there's a row of SS Landstorm and SS Pioneer, and just too much, really, is what it comes down to. Unfortunately for Roye, they trade grenades, which is bad for him. Now, Strumoviki is actually up trading that way, but of course he's really needing those, as Roye will just get outspammed by Blitz eventually. See the Churchill here and the T-34s, just a brick wall for this. Now, even if the Festung leader has, you know, a Panzerschreck, there's only so much you can do. Oh, 88 finding a line of sight on the Churchill though. That's pretty dangerous. Not ready in. I think both of them should be able to shut down Roye's air force now. Surprised that Roye didn't bring in Andrusha. I think the Andrusha could have cleared all of this out and didn't actually need to buy that much infantry. Same here. Like, buy an Andrusha, target this, strike it. Everything is either dead or pinned, and you could just move in. So I think that might have actually been the better investment overall. But they are very ammo hungry. Luckily, he, I think, only has 1, if I remember correctly, from the decks. So, he has 4 ammo tracks for this one Andrusha. And that's definitely going to keep it alive for quite a bit. All of B2s now coming in. The Churchill actually died, so that's massive. Because the T-34s, again, they can technically be penned by this. Now, unless they're super close, they're going to struggle. So, it's most likely not going to happen. But it is a possibility. Strelk here trying to hold things off, but with just 1 machine gun, Strelk is unfortunately are not the best tool to deal with that. Now, another bombing run up north. Up north, this is where Blitz's defenses in terms of AA are really weak. So this is, of course, where it's very well worth going for. And he's pushing, and he has a lot of units there. So that one can actually really hurt. I hope for Roye that is actually ready to... Oh, look at that beautiful strike. Everything's pinned, but Roye doesn't follow up. He did that just to stop it. Now the row of CQC infantry is coming in, but he's going to miss the timing. They'll have to do that again. In the town, though, progress is being made by Blitz. Is now pushing forward with the big light open. D34 versus B2 now. All Pack 40 and these guys are starting to get involved as well. Yeah, again. Up close they can potentially pen it, but they will struggle. 88 is finding more line of sight on those T34s. Yikes. Is this one also shooting at? I think it's shooting at something else. One of them already went down. They're super crucial to stop those B2s. He's on the run now. As he realizes the danger is in. And fortunately for him, the 88 misses. But Blitz to the 14-10. Maverick income is over since a while now. But all of a sudden, there's a lot more blue on the map than red. And the income advantage, you know, at the moment overall is with Blitz. But it's not that massive. There's not that big of an income advantage that you get with Maverick at the end of the day. Now, it is still there. It does exist. And it will equal out for... It will equal out for Vanguard again, eventually. And I think you're actually up like 100 points or something like that by the 50-minute mark. But that doesn't really matter. I would argue for the last 10 minutes, 100 points more doesn't really matter at all. Because at the end of the day, maybe for the first 2 to 3 minutes of those 10 minutes, it can really matter. After that, if it's very close and you just need to have boots on the ground, it can make a difference as well. But I'd say for the last 5 minutes at least, it hardly ever matters if you have 100 points more per minute or not. Not to say that there are not those games where it does, but very often it doesn't. 15-9 now for Blitz, as he grabbed his flag as well, pushing forward with just some Feldjäger. But Roye really struggles to find an answer to that. His answer up north is bombing, and is now pushing forward. The problem is he doesn't have any range units there, and his Stromoviki Rocks are just going to get picked apart here. Strelki got held up, more infantry, CQC infantry coming, but there's no line infantry with that. PF-109s. Trying. I'm not really sure what the goal was. I guess they want to go after. Wait, what is that? Never seen that. HE-219. Maya's gonna say might catch it, but the L2 could despawn before that. But I mean, Pokeballs can just do whatever they want now. The 37. There's one 37 in the town if they both go for it. I think they have medium resilience, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they have. So they could probably go for it, especially if the 37 gets held up on the HE-219. Which in the meantime, if frustration runs on the Strelki here. Let's watch this. Look at that. I think it was from 11 to 7, so full health. And it was, it was in green cover. And this thing is super fast. It still does so much damage. 37 actually goes down. So I think this is the end for Roye. I mean, he's clearly losing the town completely, and he does not have another power spike coming. There's armor in now by Blitz as well. And he's lost all his AA. So, not really sure how he intends to get back into there. He's probably also running low on infantry at that point. He had a lot because he has everything unvetted, but a lot of it is cheap, and I think he just burned through it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's running low in infantry by now. That's what I meant. I think things could definitely have gone a lot better for Roye. I think losing a lot of armor here was really the key moment for his loss. But I think he also lost some units unnecessarily to planes. And, if he had those 37s at double vet and maybe a little bit closer, that could have made quite a difference, I think. But yeah, ultimately, like Blitz has just slowly managed to grind his way back in, and now just completely overwhelming Roye, out spamming him, and Roye surrenders. Yeah, 1900 to 2825. That is pretty decisive. I would say it's almost 1,000-point difference, and that really does matter, especially if your incomes are dropping after that. If you look at the start looks actually pretty decent for Blitz. Yep, for quite a while actually. Then Roy's phase of dominance comes in, but Blitz still continues to trade. Although I mean, there's a lot of cheap units there, but it still managed to trade decently. I think then, yeah, the IS-2 comes in, does a lot of work. I mean, this was probably one of the key moments at IS-2 dying. If Roye could really use that to block Blitz from accessing the town, that could have been massive. But that didn't happen, unfortunately. So, and you know, even here, Blitz actually still traded very decently. And then, yeah, 20-minute market was just Blitz doing stuff. I mean, at this point, he probably, I think he just forced Roye to fight at the flanks in ways that were beneficial for Blitz and not for Roye. And Blitz, as we said, he had nowhere to go in the town anymore with all these units that he had there. They still lost a lot of them unnecessarily in the process of trying to do so, and that's what cost him ultimately. But yeah, fantastic game. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Didn't expect it to swing that hard. So yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great day and see you next time.